What's up? I'm Dr. Daniel Ricciardi, gut health expert, licensed pharmacist, and fitness enthusiast. I help clients resolve bloating, gas, and digestive problems so they can look and feel their best. Slightly different video for you today, but a very big news. My brand new program, SIBO Shortcut, officially launched this past Friday, September 1st, 2023. It's the result of 8 months and several hundred hours of work, so I'm really excited to be offering it to you. I created SIBO Shortcut so you have everything you'll possibly need all in one place to treat SIBO. It's easy to use and you no longer have to spend countless hours trying to find everything you need online. Clients are already getting great results from it, and I'm confident that you will too. Because you get so much with SIBO Shortcut, there's really no way to show you everything it includes without making this webinar to explain everything in detail. There's time cards down in the description below, so if there's certain sections you want to rewatch, you're able to find them easily. With that said, enjoy the webinar. Hi, I'm Dr. Daniel Ricciardi, and welcome to my SIBO small intestinal bacterial overgrowth webinar, how to eliminate SIBO, bloating, and gas as quickly and easily as possible. If you're watching this, I assume you either have SIBO or think you have SIBO. If either is the case, you're going to like this webinar. I'm guessing that for a lot of you, this is not your first webinar or video you've watched about SIBO. The first thing I want to mention, if you've ever failed at getting rid of SIBO, it's definitely not your fault. There is a ton of information out there and it's incredibly confusing. Many times that information overload keeps you from success, and that is okay. If you've failed in the past and are now concerned that nothing will help you successfully get rid of your bloating and digestive symptoms, I want to put those fears to rest. You can do this, but you do need to go about it using a slightly different approach. Western medicine makes it seem like SIBO is not even a real condition. Some patients even get told that their symptoms are all in their head. Some clinics won't even test for SIBO, and if they do run the test, it may take weeks to get your results. Most medical professionals also don't know the first thing to do for SIBO besides prescribing a course of antibiotics. If you've ever felt like the world is stacked against you to be healthy, you are not wrong. Big Pharma wants you to believe that you're doomed to suffer never ending digestive issues because they stand to make a ton of money by keeping you sick and dependent on expensive medications for as many years as possible. I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. So that is what we're here for. I don't want you to pay thousands or tens of thousands of dollars over years to decades on prescription medications. I want to help you finally overcome this condition that has been causing you pain for months or even years. I want to show you how to make that happen in this webinar. My goal for this webinar is to show you how it's possible to eliminate SIBO so that you can eliminate gas and bloating that makes your stomach stick out, correct constipation, diarrhea, and abdominal pain, no longer be forced to follow an incredibly restrictive diet to even feel average, gain back the energy you used to have to work out, and to be able to enjoy food and drinks in social situations and stop missing out on them. As I mentioned, most medical professionals have no knowledge of SIBO besides prescribing rifaximin and other antibiotics. I struggled with SIBO for years before successfully treating it. Now I use my personal experiences, knowledge from studying countless research papers, and learn from the top experts in the field to create these SIBO frameworks that I'm going to share with you. I've been seeing continued success with my own clients by using the frameworks in this webinar. In the past 4 years, I've had an amazing chance to feel and look the best I ever have. A big reason for this is that I successfully treated my SIBO. I'm no longer bloated every day, and I've lost about 15 pounds. I've also been fortunate to have the opportunity to help other people also get rid of bloating, gas, and irregular bowel movements. But it wasn't always this way. In fact, a few short years ago, I was just like you. Rewind about 4 years. I just turned 31 years old, and for the past 8 years, I've been fortunate to have a good job, loving relationships, and fun social life. On the outside, everything was perfect, but on the inside, I knew something had been very wrong with my body for a long time. In 2011, I got a horrendous case of food poisoning. After about 3 days, my stomach was no longer in extreme pain, and I thought everything was fine. But months later, I realized something still wasn't right. Each day started the same. I felt okay when I woke up, but soon after eating breakfast, the bloating and gas would start. My stomach was stuck in this bloated, puffed out position, kind of like I swallowed a balloon. It was like this almost all the time. The absolute worst part, though, was that it negatively affected how I looked. I desperately wanted my stomach to look lean and not bloated, especially when I had my shirt off. I was a single guy in my 20s, and I'll be completely honest with you, looking good to attract women was very important to me. Knowing my stomach was bloated really hurt my self confidence because I knew I looked worse and I hated how I looked in photos. I had spent years eating healthy, tracking my macros, and working out almost every day. I wanted all this effort to show the body I thought I deserved to have. Something just wasn't adding up. I can remember thinking I would literally do anything to not be bloated. At first, I thought it was just a phase and that it would go away on its own. But then, for almost 8 years, I went on an endless cycle of seeing doctors, trying supplements, and experimenting with all sorts of elimination diets that may have slightly helped at times, but none of them solved the problem. I had spent thousands of dollars trying different things, but still felt clueless and like nothing I did would ever work. In my mind, I tried everything. It was the most frustrated I've ever been, and I would often think, is this going to last forever? What made it worse was all my doctors telling me, you're completely healthy. It's all in your head. Your labs are normal. Try taking Gas X. Just find out what food is causing the bloating. Or you just have IBS, which was the one I hated the most. But many times I wondered if the doctors were right. For 8 years, this went on. At this point, I just turned 31 years old and thought, am I going to suffer through this for another decade? I'm entering some of the best years of my life and I'm not living them to the fullest. I was nervous to eat, came up with excuses to not attend social events, and was constantly farting, which is super embarrassing. To be honest, the thought of trying another thing to get rid of my bloating just sounded pointless, but I really had no choice. I couldn't keep living my life the same way. I had no idea what to do next and didn't believe that anything would get rid of my bloating and gas. But if I couldn't get rid of them, I didn't think that I would ever fully love and accept myself. This is an actual image from the 50-minute Zoom call that changed my life forever. I stumbled into discovering SIBO one day and right away felt pretty certain that this is what my problem was. All I had to do now was get rid of it. It was the most hopeful I'd felt in years, and I decided I'm not going to wait anymore. More importantly, I'm not going to do this on my own anymore. I decided to invest in myself, my health, and my happiness, and began working closely with someone who is an expert. He helped me not only with the treatment, but also showed me the things people always forget to do with SIBO, such as how to actually heal my gut, fix the problem, and prevent it from coming back. I did everything he said, and it worked. Choosing to invest in myself and work with a professional was probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. If I hadn't done so, I'd for sure still be stuck with a big bloated stomach and farting nonstop throughout each day. In a matter of a few months, I felt amazing. So many people have SIBO and don't even know it. Others are aware of it but haven't received the right advice to properly get rid of it. I realized that learning this proven method of getting rid of SIBO has put me in a position to help many other people who are just like me. Most people think that for SIBO, killing the extra bacteria is the only important step to take, but the treatment itself is only one of several important factors, aka the tip of the iceberg. The more of these factors that you address, the better and faster your results will be. Using my three frameworks to fill in these gaps, I've been able to help dozens of other people to fully eliminate SIBO, even people who have tried and failed numerous times in the past. They're now free from the constant bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, stomach pain, and many other symptoms. Treating my SIBO and preventing a recurrence, which I've done now for almost 4 years, I feel and look the best I ever have, now at 35 years old. It has completely changed my life. It's helped me to love how my body feels, have a much leaner physique, be confident in how I look, feel excited about eating again, look forward to social occasions, and not be constantly afraid of farting when I'm in public or around other people. Sounds funny, but it's true. It has made me the happiest version of myself. Better yet, dozens of other people with little to no previous knowledge of SIBO were also able to use these frameworks to fully eliminate it and stop its nagging symptoms. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to be discussing how to eliminate your symptoms and actually get results from SIBO treatment instead of having little to no success. We'll briefly talk about what SIBO is, then get into the frameworks, which are framework number one, pre-treatment phase, how to determine if you actually have SIBO, and how to optimize your body to have the most effective SIBO treatment. Framework number two, treatment phase, how to eliminate SIBO while at the same time reduce your chances of side effects during treatment. And framework number three, Post-treatment phase: how to know that your treatment worked, how to get rid of any lingering SIBO symptoms, and make sure SIBO does not come back. SIBO happens when you have too many bacteria in your small intestine. These bacteria digest sugars, carbohydrates, and fiber and produce gases that cause a wide variety of symptoms, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, and abdominal discomfort. In addition to digestive symptoms, SIBO can also cause things such as brain fog, anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, skin problems such as eczema, and many more. SIBO is often mistaken for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It is estimated that worldwide, around 1 billion people struggle with IBS. New research is also showing that a whopping 60% of IBS cases may actually be caused by SIBO. That is an estimated 600 million people that may be impacted by SIBO. It is a major global problem. The majority of people with SIBO don't even know they have it, and the ones that do usually don't know how to properly treat it. The first framework I'll share with you is framework number 1, pre-treatment phase: how to determine if you actually have SIBO and how to optimize your body to be prepared for SIBO treatment. This framework includes breath testing, analyzing your breath test results, choosing the proper treatment, opening what are known as detox pathways to help your body detox during treatment, and beginning a diet to reduce fermentation. I'm briefly listing these now, but don't worry, I'll go into more detail in the following slides. I'll tell you a quick story back when I had SIBO. The truth is, I never sought help from anyone besides my regular doctor to fix my symptoms. Because why should I? If I had an actual problem, my doctor would tell me at my appointments, right? And even if they didn't, I'm literally a pharmacist. I should know how to solve my own health problems. And if I couldn't, there's endless information online. If I read enough about my problem and watched enough videos, I should be able to figure it out. I ended up never taking a breath test to diagnose my SIBO because I just didn't know it was a good idea. I kept trying supplement after supplement, diet after diet, expecting that one day something would just click and I'd feel better. Not the case. If I had talked to an expert sooner and done a simple breath test to see if I had SIBO, I could have saved myself 8 years of misery. But I didn't know better. The single biggest mistake I made was never taking the very first step, which is seeking out the proper help and figuring out the actual problem. Taking a breath test and analyzing the results tells you a few important things. 1, if you have SIBO or not. 2, what types of SIBO you have, whether it be hydrogen dominant, intestinal methanogen overgrowth, aka IMO, hydrogen sulfide SIBO, or a combination of multiple types. And 3, how severe the overgrowth is. All 3 of these factors impact what actions you should take next. Without doing a breath test, you're stuck wondering what is the best treatment for SIBO, and there's a good chance you'll choose incorrectly. After realizing how important breath testing and properly analyzing the results of the breath test were, I figured that is everything that needs to be done before treatment. However, not being able to tolerate treatment due to symptoms was still preventing a lot of my clients from completing their treatment. One of my early clients, we'll call him Brian, had a lot of bloating and constipation. I thought I had the perfect plan and treatment picked out for him, but about a week after his treatment started, his bloating and constipation got way worse. Worse to the point that he could not continue the treatment. I thought to myself, if he would just only do the treatment, he'd feel better. But there was still something missing. The truth was, I hadn't set him up to succeed. This helped me realize that there's some additional things to do after breath testing and before starting the treatment that really increase the chances that you will be able to tolerate and complete your treatment. It also helped me realize that the less is more approach should be used when choosing your treatments. Using all the available treatment options at the same time did not seem to work well, and it caused a lot more symptoms for clients. Sticking with one treatment option at a time worked and caused fewer symptoms. Diving deeper into the first framework. Step 1, do a hydrogen breath test to test for SIBO. Not everyone with digestive symptoms has SIBO. You need to actually see if this is the problem. I worked with a client who had chronic bloating. Because we tested her for SIBO and it was negative, we then looked at other possible diagnoses and eventually found out that tapeworms were the problem. Then we treated those instead. Step 2, properly analyze the results of your breath test. Treating SIBO without correctly understanding your results is like getting in your car and aimlessly driving. Fortunately, though, there are certain patterns that appear in breath test results, and I'll teach you exactly what to look for. Step 3, choose the best treatment option. This depends on types of SIBO you have, what symptoms you have, how high your gas levels are, and what pre-existing medical conditions you may have. Step number 4, open detox pathways. This means that we're helping your body detox. This is especially important if you have constipation. Toxins are produced during SIBO treatment, and not being able to effectively remove them can cause you to suffer additional side effects during treatment. And step 5, start a diet to reduce fermentation. Bacteria do a chemical process called fermentation when they eat carbohydrates. Fermentation produces gas. Gas causes a lot of the digestive symptoms you experience with SIBO. Therefore, reducing fermentation through diet makes treatment much more tolerable. Does all of this make sense so far? This brings us to framework number 2. The second framework I'll share with you is treatment phase, how to successfully remove the bacterial overgrowth while reducing digestive symptoms as much as possible. Key parts of this framework include 1, doing your actual treatment to eliminate the overgrowth, 2, addressing biofilm, 3, continuing a diet that lowers fermentation, 4, providing your body with additional digestive support, and 5, doing everything possible to prevent symptoms. Again, I'm just listing these here. I'll go into more detail in the following slides. When I first began working with clients, I had one protocol that I'd used because that is what worked for me. While this protocol did help some people, I began noticing that for a larger percentage of people, it did not work, or they weren't able to tolerate the protocol. This was a very frustrating but necessary step though. Through trial and error over years, reading countless research papers and learning from other SIBO leaders, I slowly found a system that worked and worked well. I learned that the best way to deal with SIBO is to have a lot of different options depending on your unique situation. The problem with most SIBO regimens is that they're not specifically tailored for that individual. If you are lucky, you'll be recommended a regimen based on what type of SIBO you have. Most people think this is the only thing that matters. While this is an okay start, it's only a small piece of the puzzle. As I mentioned before, other critical factors include how high your gas levels are, what symptoms you have, and what other pre-existing conditions that you have. These cannot be ignored. Doing so often results in another failed treatment attempt and leaves you wondering where you went wrong. The truth is, you just probably weren't put in a position to succeed. Let's discuss the key parts of this framework a little deeper. We have 1, doing your treatment. Eliminating the overgrowth of bacteria is the cornerstone of SIBO treatment. Various treatment options, such as antibiotics, antimicrobial herbs, the elemental diet, and the carnivore diet, are all effective treatment options. Choosing one treatment option at a time based on your type of SIBO, gas levels, symptoms, and pre existing conditions will set you up to succeed and give you the best chance of eliminating SIBO. 2, removing biofilm. Biofilm is a sticky gel layer that bacteria create for themselves for protection in your intestine. Another example of biofilm is the plaque that builds up on teeth. It can block antibiotics and antimicrobial herbs, which can cause these SIBO treatments to fail. Addressing biofilm is often the breakthrough people need to eliminate SIBO. 3, continuing a diet to lower fermentation, such as the low FODMAP diet. The low FODMAP diet lowers the amount of fermentable carbohydrates, fiber, and sugar that bacteria can use to produce gas. The low FODMAP diet is not an actual SIBO treatment, but it can make treatment much more tolerable by reducing your symptoms. 4, providing digestion support. SIBO impairs digestion. Therefore, supporting your body's normal functioning is key to reducing symptoms and healing from SIBO. And number 5, dealing with symptoms. Unfortunately, hitting roadblocks and running into challenges during SIBO treatment is normal. But if you are equipped with strategies and supplements to deal with symptoms, you're more likely to get through treatment and eliminate SIBO. Sounds pretty good, right? The third framework I'll share with you is phase number 3, post-treatment phase. How to know SIBO is gone and how to prevent it from ever coming back. The key parts of this framework include 1, doing a follow-up hydrogen breath test, 2, starting a prokinetic to help prevent a recurrence of SIBO. This is done after successfully treating SIBO. And 3, begin gut healing to reduce inflammation and resolve any remaining symptoms. Do you want to feel good for only a few months? I know I don't. This is why framework number 3, post-treatment phase, is so important. I worked with a client that had successfully treated SIBO twice, yet it kept coming back and he was incredibly frustrated. Having this happen not only once but twice would make anyone feel doomed to a lifetime of bloating. The problem with the way most doctors go about treating SIBO is that they treat it just like any other infection. Anyone who's had SIBO knows it's nothing like a sinus infection. Taking the necessary steps after eliminating SIBO is equally, if not more, important than the actual treatment. Having slow small intestinal motility is a major cause of SIBO and SIBO recurrence. My client never did anything to improve his gut motility the first few times he eliminated his SIBO. However, the third time around, he did, and now bloating is no longer a problem for him. Without doing these post treatment steps, SIBO actually has a high likelihood of recurrence, happening in about two-thirds of people, and you're back to where you started. When I first began working with SIBO clients, one phrase I kept hearing was the treatment didn't work. My patients were doing my best treatment plan at the time, but some of them still were not eliminating SIBO. One day, a client said that exact phrase to me. However, we went on to do a second round of treatment, and then she felt better. At that point, I knew one of two things had to be true. One was that the first treatment actually did nothing, or two was that the first treatment did help, it just didn't finish the job. I decided to start using a follow up breath test with clients after every round of treatment. And to my surprise, many of my clients didn't feel any better, but their gas levels had significantly reduced, indicating great progress. Just knowing that you're on the right path and being able to see your progress is extremely motivating. Now I have all my clients do a follow up breath test after each round of treatment so they never have to wonder where they stand with SIBO. It provides that mental edge and has helped more clients eliminate their SIBO. Now let's discuss the key parts of this framework a little deeper. We have one, doing a follow-up breath test. As I just mentioned, doing a follow-up breath test after each round of SIBO treatment provides you vital information. It tells you if the treatment completely failed, if it worked somewhat, or if it eliminated your SIBO, which in that case, you would continue to the next step in the process, which is starting a prokinetic. From having these test results, we know exactly what steps to take next and never have to guess. Step 2, start a prokinetic and prevent SIBO recurrence. Having slow small intestinal motility is the biggest reason why people get SIBO and recurrences of SIBO. When I got food poisoning, I thought everything was back to normal in a few days. What I didn't know was that the bacteria that cause food poisoning can actually cause long-term gut motility problems. This fact is commonly overlooked, and for many people, addressing slow small intestinal motility with prokinetics, which are supplements and medications to increase gut motility, is critical to maintaining a SIBO-free state and preventing a recurrence. And step 3, last but not least, is healing your gut. Back when I was in college, my roommates and I threw some massive house parties at my college house in Rochester, New York. The morning after every party, even though everyone was gone, there was still an entire mess to clean up, cups everywhere, food sitting out, and a house that was pretty gross. Throwing a house party without cleaning up is like eliminating SIBO without healing your gut afterwards. SIBO almost always causes what is known as leaky gut, a term you've probably heard before. This leaky gut can be responsible for you feeling symptoms even after SIBO is gone. This is another reason why taking these extra steps in framework number 3, post treatment phase, is so important. Pretty cool stuff, right? So let me ask you a question. If you use the strategies from framework number 1, pre treatment phase, then the strategies from framework number 2, treatment phase, and then the strategies from framework number 3, post treatment phase, do you think you can be successful? Are you excited about what we just talked about? Are you feeling a little overwhelmed because we covered so much? Maybe it feels a little bit like learning calculus. It's impossible to show you everything you need in this one single webinar, but I try to cover as much as possible. If you watch this and are ready to move forward and implement what we just talked about, hopefully it's okay with you if I spend the next 15 minutes sharing this special offer that I've created. I'm proud to introduce to you SIBO Shortcut. It will show you how to end bloating and gas from SIBO as quickly and easily as possible so you don't have to keep up giving food you love, social events, and the energy to work out. I created this guide because there are so many people trying to heal from SIBO who I genuinely believe are so close to doing so. They are way closer than they think they are to having a body that looks and feels great. I believe that if you have the information in this guide, you will have exactly what you need to make this a reality. I've seen where people get stuck, such as not knowing what treatment and dosages to use, not knowing what supplements to take and when to take them, and probably most importantly, not knowing when to continue the current regimen and when to make changes. I have designed this guide specifically to answer all of these questions and help you achieve the breakthrough you have been waiting for. When you use this product, you'll be able to finally get rid of SIBO and keep it from coming back. You'll save money on doctor's visits, specialist visits, and lifelong prescription medications. Most importantly, life is short. You'll gain back months or even years of time spent suffering. I struggled with SIBO for 8 years throughout my entire 20s, and I don't want you to do the same. When I first encountered my bloating, constant gas, and brain fog, I had no idea what to do, no idea where to look for information, and no idea who to trust. I had to try to figure everything out on my own. SIBO Shortcut will eliminate all of this for you because I've already spent thousands of hours of time trying countless strategies on myself as the human guinea pig, researching, learning from other SIBO experts such as Dr. Alison Seebecker, Shivan Sarna, and Dr. Mark Pimentel, and seeing which strategies work best with past clients. There is good information online about SIBO, but it's all scattered. A small piece of information here, another small piece there. SIBO Shortcut consolidates all of the best information into one easy to comprehend guide. Way back when, I always had a drawer full of supplements that didn't work that kept getting more and more full. These supplements would sit in there until they expired and I had to throw them out. If this is you, I believe that intuitively you know you need to try something else. I don't want you to have to do the same. I've already developed these three proven frameworks and I'm going to give them to you in SIBO Shortcut. Does that sound cool? If you use this product, you'll save wasted months or years and a bundle of money because you'll be doing it right the first time. There's no trial and error period. A lot of people believe SIBO takes too much time to get rid of. The truth is, dozens and dozens of people have completely eliminated SIBO very efficiently by using the frameworks in this guide. You may be thinking, treating SIBO seems very complicated, and SIBO Shortcut will be too difficult to use. If you can read and have a computer or smartphone, you're prepared to use SIBO Shortcut. Watching, and I look forward to supporting you eliminate bloating and digestive symptoms with using SIBO Shortcut.